who is using his intuition to make a hypothesis. You do not know this for sure.
No.
And I'm whatever the hell I am, that has a different hypothesis, that even in the darkest human beings that seem to be only full of evil, there's a good person there that could be discovered. And
Lex, one of the reasons I love doing your show is that you have these beliefs, even as a Russian. Now,
the Russian special.
As you know, there is a weirdness, which is a total cynicism and total idealism locked together, right? That's very much a part of the Russian character.
The reason I was kept bothering you to have this conversation is I'm really worried about the next couple of months.
No kidding.
And if there's anybody in this world that could help alleviate my worry by at least walking along with me through this worry of mine, it's you. Do you think we're headed towards some kind of civil war? Some kind of division that explodes beyond just stuff on Twitter, but something that's really destructive to the fabric of our society?
Well, I believe we're in a revolution, as you know. I've called it the no-name revolution or N-squared revolution. I've been talking about it for years. I think waiting for this to be called a civil war is not smart.
Only history will call it such. Fine. But
I think that the problem is that you're encountering things that you've never seen, trying to fit them into things that you already know.
Right. But history repeats itself.
Yes. Ish.
You don't see lessons from history
I do.
We see today?
But I don't see it repeating itself. You know, the
violence?
Famous quote is that it rhymes.
It rhymes. I mean, the thing I guess I'm speaking to is violence. And
we're in there. The abstraction of violence. Imagine you were coding up violence as an abstract class. Okay?
Thank you for speaking to the audience.
Trying to lose these people. Come with me.
Go on.
No. Look, I've dealt with your audience, and your audience contains some of the smartest people around.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if I say some stuff, first of all, any wrong thing that I'll say, they're going to detail. So that'll be a little bit of catnip to bring in the smart people. But they'll also digest it for each other. It's one of the great lessons of long form podcasting. If you don't waste all your time explaining things, that's the job of the audience to do amongst themselves. They're happy doing the work, and those who aren't, they leave. Isn't that great? They'll leave. The people who don't want to struggle will leave. And you can get rid of them. I think that the point is you would want to say violence is defined relative to a context. So let's call it meta-violence so that we don't get into the problem. We already have a term for physical violence, right? So we have meta-violence and physical violence. I would say that physical violence is subclassed from meta-violence. Meta-violence is the disruption of a system. It's sort of, it's for example, if a cell dies, it can die through apoptosis or necrosis. Apoptosis is controlled, programmed cell death. Necrosis is just like, okay, this didn't work. That was a violent disruption of the system.
And this meta class is presumed in the documentation. Is it all negative?
No. What are you talking about?
So
this is part of the problem and the madness of our age, right? Which is if you open up a drawer in your cabinet, right, in your kitchen, and you see knives, spoons, and forks, do you have a sense that the spoons are good utensils and the knives or forks are bad utensils because they're mean? I mean, like, if you start thinking in these terms, that knife is there to do violence. That's violence you want done. Right? When I cut a mango, I'm doing violence to the mango. The mango expects that I will do violence to it because otherwise I won't be able to get the meat and it won't get its seed spread somewhere else. So in part, violence is absolutely part of our story.
So there's this meta-violence class.
Yeah.
And
so the meta-violence class is already, it's a multiple inheritance pattern. Whatever's going on right now inherits from meta-violence.
No, but there's certain subclasses that allow evil to emerge. So what I'm specifically worried about is that
What's on your mind, Lex? What's really going on?
okay. I worry that amidst the chaos of we have these protests or the chaos that could be created by the feeling that the election does not represent the voice of the people, like saying that whoever gets quote unquote wins the election according to the some kind of reporting of the numbers that come out, that's not going to represent what people actually want, who people actually want to be the leader. Like something in that narrative will create so much division that people will resort to literal violence, like protests that the United States loses its united aspect. And because of that chaos and tension, evil people, evil forces, that my definition of evil is, just cruel human beings, use that moment to attain power, the kind of power that is ultimately goes against the ideal of the United States. That could be Donald Trump. That could be another human being. It doesn't really matter. My worry is that love doesn't win out in this. The unity doesn't win out in this. And I feel like you and I have responsibility.
No kidding. Small. Yeah, I know.
And so how do we let love win in this moment of
we're going to have to fight chaos for it? You're going to have to become a fighter. You're going to have to throw some serious punches if that's what you want.
You have to be Muhammad Ali here, because the moment you start criticizing anything, you have to be a masterful communicator, because
that's why you're here. Look, Lex, in part, your decency is allowing you to do things that you couldn't otherwise do. I saw that you had Michael Malice on your podcast.
Yeah.
Now, Michael Malice is, I think, of somebody who, at his best, is extremely shrewd and insightful. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
He's also got this trolling game, which he's quite open about, and you talk to him about it, which I can't stand. And this is the idea. Oh, grandpa doesn't get the internet. Well, I'm grandpa. I don't get the internet. I don't love the trolling.
Yeah.
There are trolls of the past who were incredibly good. I don't see any of the modern trolls as being that kind of genius level, trolling the people who deserve it in the way that they deserve it. Right now, what I see is that anything that stands up gets cut down.
Yeah.
It's like anything earnest, you have to turn into cynicism and a meme. And it's this idea that the people who believe that the world is chaos and has no point are constantly trying to let you know, don't try to use the internet for meaning, for decency, for goodness, because we are going to find out that that's all sanctimonious hypocrisy, and we will make you suffer. So I do think that there's a lot of sanctimonious hypocrisy in the world. Some of it mine, some of it yours, but we all have it. And the trolls somewhat remove that. But it's not a judicious, kind, constructive, compassionate, caring version most of the time. And a lot of those trolls, and I have this feeling about Michael Malice, I don't know whether it's right, that there's somebody who deeply cares and loves beneath it, and that's motivating some of the trolling behavior. And you and I don't seem to be doing that. I don't see you as almost ever trolling.
Yeah, you and I'm very much against trolling.
I'm very much against trolling. It doesn't mean that it's selective. It's not even true. Like everything we say like, I'm for it, I'm against it. This isn't my native language. I speak nuance. I don't speak this internet shit. And the more I have to communicate through internet shit, right? I almost never take a tweet seriously if it contains the letters LMAO, LOL, RTFL, FOL.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting effect where people say stuff and then finish with LOL. You put it beautifully, that it indicates to me that this is a person. We've talked about like why I wear this stupid suit.
Yeah.
Is like, this is to fight the LOL at the end of sentences. Is take It's like stand up for the words you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't finish stuff with LOL, removing completely the responsibility of the content of the sentence that preceded it.
Yeah. Also, choosing the outfit that worked both for Men in Black and the Blues Brothers, not a terrible choice. Okay, but getting back, look, Lex, we're not in a position to do this. You need to be seated in a different chair. Your chair is the wrong chair. You're in the wrong chair. It's been so long. All right. I want to talk about you and Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a 29-year-old guy with nothing particular going on, so far as I can tell. Okay. I know people as impressive at age 29 as Joe Biden, 12 rows back, three deep, doesn't matter. Huge number of people. None of them my age can get to where he got to. Like, we're all morons. Anytime somebody takes out, like if you found Eddie Van Halen in a guitar shop, you'd be angry. What is this guy doing repairing guitars? Then somebody will say, maybe he loves to repair guitars.
Yeah, I mean, what is your Russian piano tuner doing?
What is my Russian piano? That was the whole point of that story, which is what is it that happened in that life that converted somebody? And I find this, for example, with Russian doctors who are, technicians in offices now. There's a huge amount of talent in the world that's not sitting in its proper seat.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I've gotten to the point where my feeling is we've got to take the seats.
Right.
And maybe we don't sit in them. Maybe the idea is that we take the seats and we put some smart Gen Z person in the seat and say, look, no chanting. I don't want to hear you say no justice, no peace. If there aren't verbs, if it rhymes, it's wrong. Like I used to have this thing, if it rhymes, things that rhyme are more true. Yeah. But like in general, if something starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't want to hear what the rest of your sentence is.
Yeah. But I feel like the responsibility that you carry, that I carry, this is where Joe Rogan generally removes himself from being, I'm just a comedian. This idea of I'm just a comedian.
They all do that.
But at this moment in history, like history literally can pivot on the words of a tattooed, ripped 50-year-old, comedian. And I think the same is true with you.
Okay, well, I'm interested and I care. Speaking of lyrics, there are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. That's not us. The hour is getting late. That's not us. In the song, the Joker and the thief are on opposite sides of Jesus, having this conversation over Jesus. You and I, we've been through that. That's not our fate. That's somebody else's fate to throw spitballs at the internet. That's not your fate. You're an earnest guy. You're filled with love. You're getting the most amazing podcast guests.
But you can win over the internet. This is the point I'm trying to make. That you're saying I'm just a grandpa. I don't get the internet.
No, I'm telling you, you're going to get bigger, and then you're going to get cut down. You're going to keep ascending for a while, Lex.
And then you're saying naturally there's.
I'm telling you, I watched the same process. People get up to a certain level, and one of the things that's going on, in my opinion, with Joe Rogan, is that when Joe Rogan starts to talk about his misgivings about Joe Biden, in a way that you find at any bar in America, about cognitive decline in a 77-year-old who's about to be 78, I believe in November. We have never had anything remotely as insane as a 78-year-old person slated to win the White House.
And you're saying when that idea is being communicated, is there something is about the disc concept that you talk about, the system naturally
some bad thing happens to Joe or one of Joe's close associates. The ability to destroy people who become inconvenient has been documented. This is what we have done in the past. Whether we are doing it now, we don't know, because we are not doing this church committee 2. In order to know whether or not you are currently destroying American citizens, as we did in the past, and as we have documented, and as we found out in 1976, the federal government destroyed Americans who had political beliefs that the government didn't want to continue. And I don't know whether you are grasping that. One interpretation of why Jon Stewart and why Joe Rogan and why Bill Maher, all these people, to some extent, hide behind, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's because they're trying to find a protected class. Is there some place I can stand and speak the truth, which does not result in my being garbage collected?
Interesting. I guess you're right. My intuition is you can stand as you gain more power. You can stand behind
There's a
your
fight
words
over
without
Joe
a joke.
Rogan right now. I mean, I've talked about it for a few years now. People did not understand how big that program was. People didn't understand long form podcasting. I was derided by people who I think of as being very shrewd for believing in these podcasts as a major force. And most of the people who derided me have said, wow, did I not get things? It's like if you started to propose, you wanted to do The Sopranos in the era of 30-minute sitcoms. It's like, you don't get it, man. The American people, they're not interested in these long plot storylines. That's your weird thing. Nobody cares, dude. Everybody just wants short, fast, memorable. And like, okay, so if you do that, you totally miss the opportunity. And, the savvy people used to say, kid, let me tell you, nobody ever lost a dime underestimating the intelligence of the American people. Well, that was totally wrong because they didn't calculate opportunity costs. I have been talking about the problem of Joe for a long time. The problem is that when the system wakes up, they're going to want to control it.
And they come up with new different mechanisms of doing that. I guess one interesting one is cancel culture.
Well, look at the number of people around Joe who they've come after since they've realized that Joe is really big. Joey Diaz, Brian Callen, Chris D'Elia. Now, I'm not saying that those are all related, but I do notice that there are at least correlations between when Joe says something and when something bad happens in Joe's universe. It's easier for me to believe that that's happening when it's happening around Joe himself.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about my friend.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to push him towards being more if he doesn't want it, because I don't want to conscript people. He's got a great life. He's got a great situation. He's done a huge service. Thank God. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How much do I owe Joe just for what he's done for you? To say nothing of what he's done for me or for Brett or for Sam or any of these people. And, I'd like to think that we all try to give back, but I'm worried about Joe. He's not worried.
One of the inspiring things about Joe is, he's in this war alone, and the way he fights the war is by just enjoying life.
Well, that's his thing. As long as he stays close to things that he loves and being, one of the things is he's honest about his drug use. He loves to hunt. So he does a certain amount of like semi-vice signaling up front. And then you just also know him. This is why every time they try to take him down, you use the N-word, It's like, unfortunately, everybody knows who Joe is. And he doesn't act as if he went to a fancy finishing school, right? That's not his energy. The fact that you got some super smart guy who always pretends to be a meathead, just like, it's like, hey, I'm a comedian. It's like all these defenses and disguises. Okay, you got this super smart guy who he's admitted to most of the things that, you can take him down for. And because everybody's been effectively in his den or his basement, think about that studio as his basement. People have hung out with Joe so many hours that you can't tell them something about Joe where they're going to say, wow, I'm going to believe the New York Times and not the hundreds of hours I've spent on the Joe Rogan Experience.
But the cool thing is that this is what inspires me, is that the way he's waging war against the system is just by being a good person and talking enough hours in a week where that message like bleeds throughout the words, in the gaps between. And that's so inspiring to me, that the good people can win by just being good. And
he's kind and he's tough, and he's no pushover.
No.
I always worry a little bit when I sit down in that chair.
You still get scared? That he'll call you on some kind of bullshit that you weren't even aware of.
No, the first time I was on the show, the energy wasn't great between us.
Yeah.
And it was in a sober October situation. Yeah. So I think I hadn't understood that. And maybe our egos got a little bit off. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was having fun, but maybe it was just two complicated life forms getting to know each other. But the first one was probably, that made me a little nervous for the future. But then, Joe and I have become friends, although sometimes we have miscommunications. Like on Yom Kippur, I texted him and I said, Joe, I want to apologize for ways I've let you down as a friend and haven't been there for you, and appreciate everything you've done for me, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I get this text back, like, what the fuck is your problem? You're great, dude. I don't know what bad place you're in, but cheer up. It's like, Joe, don't you have any Jews in your life to apologize for what they've done? He was just like, dude, have you lost your mind? What the hell's gotten into you?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about the Spotify thing?
What about it? Ask me a question.
He's now, as opposed to being just a comedian with a podcast, he now is just a comedian with a podcast who stepped like in the middle of the center of cancel culture, which is like, I know Spotify is in Sweden, but they represent Silicon Valley. They represent the very kind of structures, they contain and represent the kind of structures that threaten to destroy the Elons of the world. And he just like stepped like with his Alex Jones and his Joey Diaz, just strolled right into the middle of it.
I think it's awesome. I love it.
But do you think he's strong enough to? Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know the right way to ask this, but is he strong enough to persevere?
It's a bit interesting. It's like when a lion decides, wow, that honey badger looks tasty. I'm going to swallow it whole. See what happens.
Because I talked to him offline. He really seems to be willing to give away the 100 million, which gives him so much power.
Oh, I don't.
It's a powerful thing to be able to say, I don't. Yeah, to the honey badger. He just strolls in, but he's willing to walk away from anything in this.
Well, he's going to walk out the other side of the line. I don't think he's going to go out the way he came in.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? It's Tommy Lee Jones entering the bug.
This is like a giant alien. He just walks into it.
He gets swallowed by the bug and he blasts out from the inside.
Yeah.
I have it as Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
But
that's
anyway,
Joe Rogan to you.
Yeah. Is that my feeling is that Spotify doesn't understand what they're messing with. I could be wrong, but I'm not.
No, you're right.
I'm right. Because Joe doesn't need anything, man. I mean, this is the weird thing about it. It's like, I'm sure that he loves all his toys, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's a rich guy. Yes, he's got FU money. He had FU money a long time ago. And you're not, the other thing about it's a bit weird being friends with a dude like that. It just is. Because like you call him up or he'll call you up and he's like, what's going on in your life? And I'm like, I don't know. Kind of depressed, trying to get some math done. What are you up? Like, oh, dude, I can cheer you up. I just came off of a 29,000 person stadium. It's like, oh, cool. How'd you do that? Oh, I don't know. I just announced it on Instagram a few days ago and it filled up. Just like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing
so much love in that
thing
guy.
Is so powerful.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, you could be that too.
The instant Joe takes an interest in politics and saving the world,
you might destroy all that.
It's going bye-bye. I promise you.
I just disagree with you. I mean, because you have to do it. Like you've said this many times before.
I'll bet you.
Yeah.
I'll bet you a bottle of Stoli that you can get. If you get Joe Rogan to get highly politically active and call out the system for all the bullshit that it is in a very pointed and determined fashion, and he doesn't get destroyed, I'll give you the vodka.
The vodka?
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty damn good deal. So, but you've said this. I mean,
living heroes, my friend. No living heroes. No living heroes.
It's just difficult. You just have to be good at it. I mean, if you just say generic political things,
no,
you're going to be taken down. But
the more heroic you are,
with it,
the more beautiful you are, the more you will be made to suffer. And if they cannot get you on reputation, if Jesus himself came down, I don't know if I ever read, I probably have never read to you the hit piece I did on Jesus. You don't know about this?
No, I did not know.
I did hit pieces on all of the best people in the world.
Wow.
So whoever it was who cured cancer, discovered new particles or whatever it is, I did a hit piece against them to prove that I can do it to anybody around anything at any time.
Except Eddie Van Halen is what we're talking about.
Well, Eddie Van Halen is now dead. But if this was a situation, Hot for Teacher, canceled.
Disrespectful.
Absolutely. Also, packaging female objectification for young men. Clearly, Eddie Van Halen is one of the worst people alive.
But the skill, the incredible inspiration that is just radiating from his music inspires so many millions that they will fight those canceled pieces. They will fight those.
So this is your thing.
Yeah.
You have this idea that there's a war between good and evil, and the good has already been designated the winner. And it's not true. But your belief in that it's true.
Fake it till you make it, no? I mean, it's
motivating both of us. Like, I also believe that we're going to win, because if I don't, then I can't get out of bed. And it's pretty heavy at the moment.
Do you think 2021 could make us feel good about the trajectory of society? Where we emerge from this year feeling good. Like, there's a smile on Eric Weinstein's face, and the next time we talk, we'll be doing some kind of duet on guitar and not having this worried look on our faces.
No.
Okay, but you've also promised that you're going to somehow end this in a positive. So, okay. So how do you turn the no around? What's the U-turn from the no?
No, until we get some actually decent people in the right chairs who are not constantly thinking about their next paycheck, I don't see a solution. Let me just say what the prerequisites for a solution are, and to let you know why I don't think it's coming. First of all, both of these political parties, the leadership of them is disgusting and has to go. They're tearing us apart. They lack the will to be Americans. They don't understand the subtlety of the project. They're simply the people who figured out how to inhabit the seats, and that is their great achievement. I believe that in order to solve this, you need people who can integrate, who are not partisan at the level of the partisan warriors that we're seeing, people who believe in dividing the pies of the future rather than the present pie as our main task as Americans, because we are built around growth. I'm sorry to say it. You need an ability to have subtle conversations, and you need the ability to exclude. And at the moment, everyone knows that inclusion is good, which it isn't. It's like saying, well, water is good. If I say water is good, everybody will agree with me. It's not. People drown. People need to get dehydrated. It can be life-saving or life-ending. It isn't good or bad. Inclusion is not good or bad. Inclusion is just inclusion. Exclusion is part of inclusion. We've taught people that they can reason through the world as cocker spaniels. They just bark things at each other. I'm for safety. I'm for inclusion. I'm for growth. Oh, really? Do you guys use verbs?